Now, what is the meaning of localizing? It is a process of recognizing subnational context in achieving the 2030 agenda. This has been entrusted with the responsibility of coordinating with sustainable development goals with central ministries, state government, and monitoring the progress. We have also come with the goal 17. There are 17 goals that needs to be achieved under the sustainability program in India. Good morning and welcome to the first session in Chapter 5, Unit 3, second semester, B.C.A, Sustainable Development, where we are going to speak about planning and localizing. Now, in this chapter, we are going to couple up a few topics like planning, localizing, and the attainable or the achievement of the sustainable goals. So this is going to be a comprehensive chapter where we are going to look into multiple objectives or multiple in terms of the chapters altogether. Now let's see here how localizing plays a very, very important role in terms of sustainable goals. Now, what is the meaning of localizing? It is a process of recognizing subnational context in achieving the 2030 agenda. All of us know that the 2030 agenda, which was laid down by the UNDP, United Nations Development Program, is supposed to be the apex. It's supposed to be the benchmark that every nation is striving to achieve. India is no exception to it because India wants to achieve the factors saying that they want to go forward, they want to achieve all the goals and targets, they want to determine the way of implementing this goal so that in future, India also becomes a sustainable country. Now, let's try to understand the indicators. Let's measure and monitor the progress in addition to the factors in terms of what are all that we need to understand to make sustainable achievable. Now, there are many indicators. Let us talk about each one of these indicators. But what is that we want to know is that at the basic level, the localization will relate to both of how the local and the subnational governments are interacting in a cooperative manner. That means they can support each other in terms of achievement of the SDG or the Sustainable Goal Development. Now, through the bottom-up action as well as how SDGs can provide a framework for the local development policy, very much important, and this will entail the participation and planning and implementation of the goal. So primarily, when I say the word localization, all I'm trying to build in here is that I'm trying to build in a comprehensive network. I'm trying to build in a comprehensive system through which each and every government will try to interact with the central government, that is the state, local bodies, will interact with the national government and try to find out a measure, a standard through which we can achieve the entire activity here. So this is very, very important. This is the chapter where we are going to understand how to make the sustainable goal even more easier in terms of achieving it. Followed by, what is this localization's importance? That's what we are going to see. Niti Aayog, the successor of Planning Commission, we all know that the new name is Niti Aayog from 2014-15 onwards. This has been entrusted with the responsibility of coordinating with sustainable development goals with central ministries, state government, and monitoring the progress. So at one point of time, we need to understand the role of Niti Aayog is not just being an economic think tank, but the role of Niti Aayog is more from making a sustainable development progress achievable. Somewhere down the lane, we start understanding that Niti Aayog has come forward in such a way that they have started thinking in all spheres possible, trying to make this ideology of sustainable development even more easier and achievable. So they have listed down certain areas, certain specific areas which needs to be achieved, which needs to be taken forward as an activity altogether. And they're also very much keen and interested upon this factor that this particular program has to be run with the cooperation of the local government, with the cooperation of the district bodies, so that this program can be a total success. Now, the participating ministries who are coming here are the Ministry of Statistics Program Implementation, and you also have the Ministry of Finance with the National Indicator Framework to monitor the SDG. So you can see that there are a couple of people who are involved in this activity. They are all people from different walks of life, from different ministries altogether, who are actually trying to pull in different kinds of activity and promote the best in terms of growth and development. So somewhere down the lane, you will be able to see that they are monitoring the progress, not just from a theoretical framework, but also from the practical inputs. The other thing that we are interested to know here is localizing at the central level. Now, at the central level, you have the ministers and their schemes that are mapped with the SDG and the target. Now, let's understand that this is a chain effect that we are going to speak about. So, when I'm going to talk about this chain effect, it's very, very important. Why? Because everybody is connected in this big circle, starting from the central ministry to that of the state, to that of the local district bodies, the union territories. Everybody are linked in this entire process. Now, every minister will have a goal that is attached to the sustainable development activity and will try to talk about how we can take it forward. So somewhere down the lane, the ministries are also responsible for providing data for the national indicator framework. So let's say that if you belong to the Ministry of Chemicals, so even that ministry will have something attached to the sustainable development goal framework, and he would be measured on the basis of its progress. So what we are trying to achieve here is that try to include everybody towards the path of sustainability, make everybody accountable in terms of their action and in terms of the monetary aspects that are being involved. Plus, we also want the Ministry of Statistics, the Controller General, the auditing bodies, and the other ministries like the Ministry of Finance to cooperate and make this program even more successful, so that we will have a complete accountability in each and every step that we have taken towards progress. So when you look here, areas like the Comptroller and Auditor General of India is the supreme audit body which is responsible for conducting the audit and preparedness of the SDG. Now, we are not here to just check upon each other, but we are here to understand whether each one of us are completely prepared, completely ready in terms of theoretical understanding and also in terms of practical viability of making this program a success. So at every step, we would be monitored, we would be audited, and we would be let know our results and progress, so that this program can run as per the vision of Agenda 2030. Followed by, we have the Office of the Chief Secretary at the state level, which is going to monitor the goals of the SDG. The Chief Secretary is the chief advisor for the state government, followed by his ministry, his officials who would be available with him, and the administration is completely in the control of the Chief Secretary. So we believe that the state government, under the able leadership of the Chief Secretary, would be able to oversee the program, guide through the implementation part of it, and understand and make it important for each and every state that we have to make a sustainable progress towards the SDG goals. So at the state level, the Chief Secretary is a key person whom the central government is going to get in touch with and monitor the progress at each and every instance as far as possible. Now, moving further, when we talk about the planning department for coordinating with the SDG, the Directorate of Economics and Statistics, which is the focal point of data. So this is where the key data is going to be stored at any given point of time, with the training institutions that are going to come, line departments to formulate, implement, and monitor each and every activity that is being told in this particular vision, and we are going to see that everybody is going to contribute some or the other thing in terms of achieving this SDG. So this is going to be a very, very interesting exercise. Let me tell you that. Why? Because what we are trying to understand here is that nobody can just get away from their work, from their ideology, saying that, sir, it is not my job. No, the idea of SDG itself is very, very clear. Why? Because we are intending to create a sustainable development program for our future generation to survive, and every department will have an equal responsibility here. Followed by the creating of shared understanding among the governance factors. Now, what we are doing is that first step taken up by the Niti Aayog is that we have gone forward, designated as a coordinator on SDGs in India, has to create a shared understanding on SDG among the government. So they are going to share their files, they're going to share their records and the targets to each and every state government, saying that how we need to achieve the Agenda 2030. Plus, we have also come with the goal 17. There are 17 goals that needs to be achieved under the sustainability program in India. So there is a whole lot of work in terms of data as well as in terms of achievement, which have to be taken forward altogether. So somewhere down the lane, let's try to understand very, very clearly that this progress, which is going to be monitored at every level, is going to be a very, very important, a very common vision factor that's going to be shared among the millions of Indians in our country. Followed by, the Niti Aayog has also taken a very comprehensive mapping of all centrally sponsored schemes via the SDG, that's the Sustainable Development Goal, related targets within the twin objectives of assigning responsibility on one side to the minister and ensuring the target is met. Now, India has been a country which is very, very meticulous when it comes to planning. Nobody can beat us in that. But then when it comes to execution, there's always been a question mark on the government of India, stating that many of the plans, many of the promises just remained on the paper and not into an actionable item altogether. But at this time, the Niti Aayog, with the coordination of the ministers, official, local government bodies, have made it a point that it is not only about assigning the target, but it is all about achieving the target online. So that is where we are going to see that each and every item is going to be mapped to a particular factor, and it is going to be monitored, it is going to be achieved in the long run. Followed by, this is also on the indicating of how government schemes are actually contributing for the development of the nation, of the achievement, and is also going to tell you where the gaps are exactly found. The other thing is that all the lines in terms of ministry are able to be achieved of specific results and goals that is expected out of them, and they have been entrusted with the responsibility of achieving specific targets. So this reflects the whole lot of government and governance coming into picture. In India, we have believed that the sustainability is more about a role of government, but the actual factor is on the governance standards. Why? Because if we are not concentrating on governance, and if we are concentrating only on government and power sharing, then we will not be able to achieve the goals of our country. So at one point of time, I want all of you to understand that governance is more important here. The way how we administer our nation, the way how the goals are going to be achieved by the state and the various union territories in our country is more important. Because whenever we set a vision, a national mission altogether, we want to see that at the root level, the possibility of achieving it is first understood. Then we can take it to the national level as far as possible. So I always feel that the reflection of governance being stronger than the government has to be given in terms of sustainability. Then only we can be able to see progress. Followed by, we also see that to drive the spirit of competitiveness and among all these small governments, Niti Aayog has conceptualized and composite SDG index. Now, they have also seen that as a benchmarking. Now, we want to see a healthy competition and we don't want to see comparison. Now, when I use this word competition and comparison, let me make it very clear here. when I talk about competition, I want to see that people are competing against each other in terms of progress, not in terms of resources comparison. It should not be in such a way that a state goes and compares itself with another state B and tries to say that I have done better than you. No, it is not that what we want. We want to see that how far they are able to take the competition and move themselves to the next level. So if every state in India is able to understand the meaning of competition, where you try to compete for the best. You are not trying to compete among yourself, but you are trying to compete across at an international level with yourself so that you can set a better benchmark. You would be varied with a better benchmark. You would be evaluated with a better standards altogether. That's where we are going towards our report, our dashboard in the year 2018 that was created. So the SDG has ranked index composite number comprising of 62 indicators across 14 SDG documents, which we have been talking about. So this is a very, very important factor that we are talking about. Plus, we have also seen that the SDG ranking has gone up to such a great extent today that India is making a wonderful progress. It has made a very high level progress altogether in terms of the sustainability. We are also promoting a lot of activities related to this SDG. We are trying to make it as quick as possible in terms of growth and development. Now, the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, they have also taken this activity quite seriously, and they have taken this to the level of finalizing the key indicators so that this can be achieved at some point of time, achieved at some level altogether, and the states for their comments and the observation. So this is going on in terms of understanding and achieving the target as that has been prescribed altogether. Now, the regional consultations are being held to share the proposed indicator framework with the states and receive feedback by the following public consultation, followed by the suggestions that are received during the consultative process. Yes, it's coming back. The states, UN agencies and other stakeholders, a national indicator framework that is consisting of 306 indicators were developed by the Ministry of State Finance Implementation. So that's coming up in a big way, which is approved by the government. So somewhere down the lane, you will be able to see that the government has taken a lot of steps in order to make this SDG a dream to be realized. With this, I come to the end of this presentation. I hope and believe that all the factors that are being presented through these slides would be of a great help to you, both in terms of theory as well as in terms of the practical walk of life. In the upcoming sessions, we are going to talk more about the Sustainable Development Goal, the financing activities, how they are going to take forward our nation to the next league. But until then, stay tuned, stay blessed, and stay enlightened forever. Thank you once again for joining me today on this wonderful presentation.